This is the growth team at Volley. My name's Mitch. We've got Jared here and Angela, depending on where they're at on the screen. And we're going to be breaking down and reviewing your consulting offers and pages. So we'll provide some helpful feedback that these creators can take back and improve their pages with, but we also wanted to share it with the rest of the community so you could benefit from it too.
First up, we picked Ashley Schuler because we think that this profile is awesome and has a ton of great potential. So Mitch, why don't you kick us off here with Ashley's profile?
And let's just start with kind of the professional title, which is the small text just below her name. The sprint with hashtag Ask Ash, I think might make sense to maybe her people that are familiar with her, which maybe she's positioning this offer for, but it might be helpful to add a more descriptive title in there, maybe even something with some keywords that other people can kind of quickly identify what she's about.
I think that's a great point. I was looking up her LinkedIn profile, and she has some great certifications here. So I think you could take a lot of sort of what she's using already on LinkedIn. The MPP, PMP certifications include that. I think that's really great sort of credibility, and include some of these other things that just give you an overview of like, who is this person if I'm coming for the first time to this page and I'm not familiar with Ashley at all.
Yeah, I agree. I think the title that you're putting underneath your name is key. It's similar to like, don't judge a book by its cover, but everybody knows everybody does. And so if you can put something there that's going to really grab someone's attention, they're more likely to keep reading or keep watching videos.
Anything that you'd change, Mitch, with like the profile picture?
So for the profile picture, since it shows up on this page relatively small, as well as in other places in the app, it's always a good idea, since this is part of your branding, to make it kind of memorable and make sure it's visible when it's really small. So consider zooming in a little bit and cropping in a little bit tighter, just so people can see your face, get familiar, especially since you don't have a video yet on this page. I think it would be helpful to kind of show your face in a little bit tighter of a way. And that kind of leads us to the other point, which is potentially adding a video.
No, not potentially. You have to have a video. I don't think it's like I don't think it's like a question mark, because especially if someone's coming to this page for the first time, they're like, okay, why would I want to work with Ashley, PMP, CMP, MPP? I don't remember all the acronyms, but like, why would I want to work with this person as a project manager versus another project manager? And like, the video is how you sell it. That's how you make a connection with them. That's how you get them to know, like, and trust you. And I think for all of these pages, unless you have a huge established audience, like, Roland Fraser or one of these influencers, then you have to have a video. You have to connect with people, and you have to get them to say, oh, this person is interesting. I, instantly kind of like and trust them, and I'm kind of ready to take the next step.
Yeah. And because of the nature of Volley and this asynchronous communication and consulting, you're going to be showing up on video. So if you can kind of introduce yourself and they can get comfortable and familiar with you in that format, then you're setting yourself up for success.
Let's talk a little bit about her bio here. I think it's sort of enough information, but I might try and add a little bit more credibility to the bio. So you have some great things of like over 15 years of experience. These are some specific things that I've worked on, but I'd love to add a little bit more detail, even just like from your LinkedIn profile, mentioning some of the certifications. On Ashley's website, she talks about being like a ClickUp vetted expert. And anytime you can add those sort of call outs, I think that's going to help, especially, if someone's familiar with a program, familiar with those experts, trying to work through ClickUp stuff specifically, then that's like a great way, I think, to catch them. Any quotes you have that you want to include there from previous clients, I think can be really helpful.
I think the first thing to potentially eliminate is the redundant kind of first line. This is Ashley Schuler. I think that could be easily removed. And I love that you're talking in the first person, because it is a very personal connection and you are kind of the brand. So I love that first person. One thing that I would consider is, positioning story brand. They talk about positioning the customer or the student or whoever you're servicing as the hero. And right now it's kind of like, I am this, I am this, I am this, which is great. It's a bio area, but it's also an opportunity to talk about them and how you can bring your services to benefit them, since they are kind of the person that's inquiring about this, that's interested, and they want to know what's in it for them. So adding anything like that to your bio and or video, I think would be also helpful.
If you add a video, you can take a lot of what's in your bio now and sort of elevate it into the video, and just like you said, speak specifically to the pain that they might have. I like that you kind of end with this CTA here, tap in the sprint with Ask Ash. I would only worry that maybe this isn't very clear, right? So like, you talk about sprints all the time if you're in tech and if you're doing like agile methodology and if you're running sprints, but people might not know what that means. And so making just kind of a clear CTA there, even if it's just like, let's get started on your project or something like that, I think would be really helpful as well.
Yeah, and I think that brings up a really good point too, and you'll see this as we talk about future consulting offers and pages. Is when we're so close to something, we can use insider language that seems clear to us, but maybe not to the person that's first discovering you or interested in this. So the more that you can make those kind of implicit things explicit, I think the better.
Let's talk about the offer, since there is, sometimes people have like 12 offers, and Ashley's gone the opposite direction where she just has the one offer. And I think what's important here is we talk a lot about in marketing, like things above the fold, what you can see when you very first visit a page, whether that's on mobile or on desktop, really matters. And kind of what's above the fold here is maybe a little bit of fluff, and it's maybe less specific. So like when you open this up, ooh, look at that.
Wow.
There's a lot of information in there, and probably a lot of information that I would expect, maybe half of the people visiting this page don't even end up seeing. And so with this specifically, the sprint with Ask Ash, maybe that's something to think about is like, okay, if we're just looking at this page and reloading it, what information do you get from the sprint with Ask Ash? I hear you have questions. You're looking for a quick, efficient way to move forward. So far, I haven't learned anything about what I'm going to accomplish in working with you. And so I think it's really important to think like, okay, there's a hierarchy to this page. And then even when you look at individual offers, there's a hierarchy to your offers. So like, what is my H1? What is my headline? And then what's the subtitle to that headline? And then what are the bullet points that help support each one of those? And do these things all work together to basically be an ad for yourself and convince people that they're going to get value?
This is another reason why a pitch video is so important too. All of the things that are included in this description are great, but you can really summarize that, especially if you only have one offer. Not only can you introduce yourself, but you can also summarize what the offer is and give a little more depth on what problem you can help them solve with the value that you can provide.
Yeah, I think it's a really good idea in this description to almost like lead with what is the thing, especially in this case where it's like the sprint with Ask Ash. It's like, okay, maybe we keep that because there is like some like mystery to like, okay, what is the sprint? But you don't want people to still be in the dark after looking at this. So it's like maybe that first 2 lines is like 2 sentences about like, in the sprint, we're going to break down da 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 da. And if you click to expand this, you can see all the ways in which we dive into that, like something like that, where it's kind of, you're trying to do both. But I think when you look at what information is there, you're still kind of left wondering like, well, I don't know how this is going to help you necessarily. We've talked a little bit about this specific offer. Anything you guys would change with the pricing or, maybe potentially additional offers in this case?
I would certainly consider adding an additional offer. If you don't want to have too many things floating around out there for people to purchase, that's totally understandable. But I think that sometimes people, again, when it's a new platform, a new way for them to communicate, they're a little hesitant and they want to see, okay, can this tool actually provide value when I'm communicating with you? Can we achieve what I want to achieve, not being on a synchronous call? And so I think adding a 5-minute offer of just a quick Q&A or something like that at a lower price point to just allow people to see what Volley is all about before they dive into this higher ticket offer, I think that can be really helpful and useful.
Absolutely. And I think you'll see this in some of the other pages that we review. But even if you don't anticipate people purchasing those offers, having, a value ladder or even kind of price anchoring your offers by having a lower value or maybe even a higher value, you'll find that will increase the sales of your kind of medium tier or second best offer, as we often see.
I looked at her website and looked at her LinkedIn profile a little bit, and with the type of work that she's doing, I would expect a lot of these contracts are with, bigger companies, potentially tech companies. I would think these engagements, some of them go on for maybe months. They're kind of longer engagements. And so having a way that someone could just find out like, hey, what's everything you can do? And you can do that in a quick discussion on Volley. You don't have to necessarily set a meeting, but I think that makes a great introductory offer, kind of like you mentioned, Angela, of like a Q&A or an AMA, or like, let's put together a project plan in 30 minutes. And that's actually going to guide potentially a monthly recurring retainer offer that I have on here that's, instead of $500, it's like $2,000 a month, because I'm going to be working with you every single week. I'm going to be working with your team. It's a ton of work, but I think it's really helpful to have maybe 2 or 3 offers and create that value ladder.
One last thing that I wanted to note about this offer specifically is that last line. Please feel free to submit a loom for a show and tell. I love that. I love that. I love that you're kind of giving them a suggestion. I did want to point out, if they're using Volley on the desktop, they can do a screen recording right there locally in Volley, and it's actually going to be a higher resolution than Loom. So, you might want to add that as a little bonus in there for them, and just swap out, hey, and if you use Volley on the desktop, you can send me a screen recording and we'll get you started with that context.
Yeah, maybe the update could be, if you want to send a low quality screen recording, use Loom. Otherwise, just use Volley, because it's much higher quality screen recording.
Yeah.
Just
and
kidding.
that leads us to kind of one last point that we don't actually see on this page, but it's really important to kind of enhance the experience for your actual clients. And that is recording a welcome prompt. And while we aren't going to be showing you that interface right now, for each offer, you can record a custom welcome prompt that will be sent automatically into that consulting offer conversation. And that's where you could prompt some of these things. You could ask them for more context about their situation, or maybe ask them to share a screen recording about their current kind of software or tool or situation. So I think that's a great one of, in addition to some of the context we have here on the page. Once they're in, they'll get that prompt in the context of that conversation. And those don't count against the total time either. So it's a good way to get that in there without kind of subtracting from their overall kind of value that they're experiencing.
Yeah. And you have steps in here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that could easily be the welcome prompt in there. Who are you? What do you do? Who do you serve? That stuff. The other thing that we forgot to mention, probably because it's just not on this page, is using some of the call outs that you can put on individual offers of like, only 3 seats, or time limited, or discounted for, the next 30 days, something like that. To just provide a little bit of urgency around the offer. Ashley, thanks for sending us your profile. We loved having a look at it. Best of luck to you. Let us know in Hello Volley, or just reach out to us personally if you need any help making these updates or have any other questions.
And if you're watching this, please feel free to send us your link. You can send it to us in any of our Volley spaces, or you can send it to us via Hello Volley, and we would love to take a look and possibly select yours for the next time we analyze profiles. And also, don't forget to share your updated profile with your audience.